Declan Brennan, you've started a Club Players Association. I suppose it's something that's been in a lot of people's minds for a long, long time. The importance of the club player. We've seen the GPA over the last 10, 15 years or so and the progress that they have made, but I'm sure you feel club players have maybe fallen behind in terms of priorities of various groups within the GAA over that time.
Well, I suppose, I haven't started a Club Players Association. I've put it out there that I'm not happy where things are at the moment, and over this last 3 or 4 weeks it's been phenomenal, the desire to see change, and over the last few weeks a group of people have come together to channel that to make a difference.
I suppose we can hear the heavy rain outside. It's on nights like this that there's club players still right around the country in early November training away. Obviously the provincial club championships are on, but a lot of different county championships have to be finished, and particularly under 21 I suppose is one that tends to get shoved into this time of the year as well. And it'd be lovely if those guys could get their chance in the middle of the summer months where the activity mightn't be as busy because of various county teams taking priority.
Well, I think you've hit the nail on the head, but the reality is the county player is a club player, and he's going from January and he's still going in most counties, and I think he wants as much change as anybody else. Regarding under 21s and competitions, listen, it's the same everywhere. The season's too long, it needs to be condensed, and we feel that condensing the season, pulling things together will make a difference for both the county and club player. The county is a club player.
You've been involved with a lot of club teams in recent years. Some have been successful, some haven't been, but prior to that you were involved with DCU in terms of Sigerson football, freshers football and every level. You've a good idea of how things are going right around the country, because I'm sure you stay in touch with a lot of those guys, and the picture isn't as pretty as people might like to think.
Well, I suppose, I haven't been involved in many club teams. I think I've only done 2 teams for Clonturber, and I'm quite lucky I was with Emmy Vale as well. I was quite lucky to have a good group of players in Clonturber, and I was very successful with it. And the reality is, players make managers, managers don't play players. And I would have seen over the years, especially from a university point of view, I've been involved in Monaghan seniors as well and under 21s, that the constraints, the time, the effort that's needed, the bar has been raised every year, the expectations been raised, the pressures are building, and to an unreasonable level. People at the start of the year think we're going to win in All-Ireland, but people needs to get a reality check, and somebody that there's only one team can win it, but yet there's maybe 32 teams is going hell for leather for X amount of months, and there's club players that's going for 12 months trying to achieve that. You had lads playing from both Mayo and Dublin the week after they were either beaten or had won the All-Ireland. It's not ideal for them, and it's not ideal for the clubs either, because they're waiting, they're looking to see what's happening. If that had been a draw in the game again, they would have to wait another week. There is just no pattern that you can rely on at the minute.
I suppose regardless of replays in an inter-county sense, the Dublin Club Championship over the last couple of years, I suppose it's one that everyone around the country has a bit of interest in, because there's players from right around the country who end up playing in it, but it's one that's always been squeezed into a month. It reminds me very much of Sigerson and Fitzgibbon competition. It seems to get squeezed at the end of the year.
The reason it's been squeezed because Dublin's in the All-Ireland final over this last 5, 7, 8 years consistently. Up until that, there weren't maybe some of the Ulster teams, your Tyrones, your Corks, your other teams were pushing hard. It's because Dublin are reaching an All-Ireland final over there to the last 5, 6 years, maybe 4 All-Irelands, 5 All-Irelands, and so that could be somebody else's problem in 12 months' time, that their championships thing. So, say for instance, Meath were to get to an All-Ireland final next year, their problem that Dublin, or Dublin's problems now will be Meath's problems then. So we're looking to see if we can put something in place that will prohibit things like that happening, that everybody can have a good season and a shorter season.
Is getting to an All-Ireland final or progressing through an inter-county championship season a good enough excuse for no club action? I mean, there's some county finals that were even later than Dublin. Waterford football was actually the latest this year, and they didn't make any football progress.
Absolutely, but you have the problem with the dual player as well. Do you know what I mean? Do you know, hurling, there's as many problems in hurling as there is in football, and then you have a dual player. You look at somebody like Chrissy McCaig from Slot Neal at the minute, you know, the pressure he's under. You know, and you look at maybe a player that's in Waterford, or a player, you know, that's in Cork. Look at the many games that's in Cork and the pressure that they'll be under week in, week out. They have to make a decision whether to play hurling or football. Look at Tony Kelly, these guys in Clare, the pressure they're under. So the reality is there's problems everywhere, and it's down to a situation that maybe there's too many competitions, maybe there's too big of a gap between competitions. You look at, say, the Ulster Championship, it takes 10, 11 weeks to play it. The Ulster Club, which is a fantastic competition, is played maybe in 4 or 5 weeks.
And I suppose when you bring up that particular point, TV seems to come into it. Like every game pretty much in the Ulster Championship gets in TV. They don't want clashes. They don't want you know, to lose attendances. They don't want to pit games against each other, have a game in Clonus and another one in the athletic grounds at the same time. You know, it is an elongated championship, and it's probably for reasons which aren't maybe going back to the central reasons of the GAA providing action for club players around the country.
I completely agree with you, because reality is a monster has been created of nobody's making, of nobody's fault, but the reality is it needs to stop, and it needs to, yes, TV is having a massive issue, but so be it. Say TV's gone in the morning, maybe attendance will go right back up, because reality, everybody would nearly watch a game on TV than travel maybe 100 miles or to watch it. So maybe we need to get back to our grassroots of having, you know, the way it was, that you didn't see games on TV. That's unsensible maybe, but there needs to be a balance somewhere along the line, that it can't be, you know, we're raising money for TV rights and we're putting it back into coaching, but then it's having huge implications in other areas, that people are not enjoying their football or hurling at the minute.
I suppose the perennial question remains, should the All-Ireland finals be over before September? And it's a traditional date, and I suppose it's not just an Irish thing maybe anymore, it's a worldwide thing. It fits nicely that it tends not to clash with any other big international sporting events as well. It's kind of it's a tough one, but for the club player I suppose August would be nice.
From a CPA's perspective, it's not up to me to give the views, because at this moment in time our collective views are not been made known. From a personal point of view, I think that the All-Ireland finals need to be moved way back, because the reality is, what are we worried about something else being on? We have great games, both in hurling and football. If there was something on in the Vivia, if you were going to it, you'd go to it anyway. And if there's something on in Crow Park, you'll go to it because you want to go to it anyway. So I don't know what we're worried about what everybody else has, because we have a great organisation. And one of our strongest organisations is, look at the passion in club football and club hurling games that's going on at the minute. You know, why not market that a bit better? Maybe put that out there just as much. In TG Cahir, only for them, a club and hurling perspective, we wouldn't see club, and it's enthralling, it's passionate. Everybody within the community embraces it. Everybody, it's just phenomenal.
In terms of calendars and everything else, I mentioned earlier, obviously you've been involved with your own club a lot over the years. Mentioned DCU as well, and you know, the college's calendar has been squeezed considerably. Around your time being involved, and it's probably still the case, there was people calling for Sigerson before Christmas, Fitzgibbon before Christmas, not understanding college commitments, people with exams, etc., as well, and how hard it is when not all colleges start back at the same time. But as an extension of that, I suppose the under-21 championship in football has been got rid of, minors on the way out as well. Is that really the solution are those really helping the solution for the club players, or are they still disenfranchising a bigger group of players and not really dealing with the real problem at hand?
Everything's in the pot. We're looking at everything. You know, I've been involved in that level, both Fitzgibbon and in Sigerson. Unbelievable situation, great for development, everything. But we have to look at it. Is it in the best interest of our game that you have a Sigerson League and a Sigerson Championship, or if it's given League or if it's given Championship? We've got to look at that and be realistic.
And in terms, I suppose, of what's been going on in the background, you met Cóilín Duffy, I think earlier this week or last week as well, and things are positive from the GAA. I suppose you want to get as many people on board and as many stakeholders interested, and not kind of, I suppose, maybe the GPA started off about the players versus the GAA, and then the two came together eventually. But from the word go here, you want to bring in as many people as possible, because everyone's opinion counts here, and bringing everybody into this also is important.
I think we're very lucky to have a man like Cóilín Duffy at the centre of our GAA at the minute. I know him a lifetime. I would have huge respect for him. We're not looking for confrontation, we're just looking to try and help with a major problem that is not going away if we don't say stop. And we had a very, very positive meeting in Crow Park on Monday night. Park was very forthcoming, and we were very, very forthcoming in our views, and we would feel that we can work together to sort a problem. If that problem doesn't go away, we have to put measures in to see how we can. But we are not seeking confrontation whatsoever.
Is it the kind of animal though that's very hard to unfurl? I mean, club fixtures programs in general, I suppose, people, you know, every county's different, every situation is different. The organic nature in which the GAA has grown over the years as well, there's been so many different competitions created, and you know, we mentioned colleges there. A guy in college could be playing for 7 different teams if he's playing hurling and football as well. It's not easy really to unfurl, and I suppose it needs the buy-in of county boards as much as at central level, because central level always don't get a response from their county board.
There's a business been created in the GAA at the minute. There's a chief executive, you're a chief executive of a company at the minute, and the way it was going at the minute, you'd have some very, very tough decisions to make. A chief executive, if he had his power, would make them decisions in the interest of his business. What we're seeing is now that some power going forward, and it's the people and the players' power that's needed to make a difference. If we get 50, if we get 100, if we get 150,000 people signing up with this, we have a situation that can't be ignored.
What's the initial hopes? I mean, everything starts small. I suppose the old saying, from little acorns big trees grow as well. What are the hopes for the next while initially?
No, we have made a statement today. Our objectives going forward over the next 3 to 4 weeks, we'll have a launch of what we're about, how we're going to go about it, who's involved, and to show the mass registry base that we have through our website that we're putting together at the minute, because it's okay putting a website up, but we must have the engine behind it to make it work, to get the database to say, right, this is what we have, this is what we're about, this is the people we can contact. So from our perspective, it's about getting things right. We're a voluntary organisation. The guys that's doing this are not seeking expenses, mileage going to meetings, mileage going to Crow Park, mileage going to championship games, facilitating games, etc. So these guys are in it for the genuine reason. I'm in it for the genuine reason because the GAA is running through my blood, my lifetime. And being honest with you, I'm sick to the teeth of what's going on at the minute, and I'm just saying stop, let's do something about it. And I'm delighted that I've got some fantastic people that have put themselves forward to help me out and help the GAA try and sort this problem out. Have we all the answers? No, we don't. But I can assure you, going forward, in conjunction with everybody, will try and make a difference.
I suppose many people, and obviously the GAA was founded and is rooted in Ireland, but it is played a lot abroad as well. And I know, and you know, a lot of guys who've played abroad also. In places like New York and London, the club fixtures program is actually better than it is here because it's more regular. There's probably lessons to be learned from the way things are run in that regard overseas.
But there's nothing restraining it out there. There's nothing restraining it, and that's reality. You know, you're out in New York. You don't have a situation like you have here, so you can't sort of compare. But the reality is, it's fantastic to see our games out there. But at the minute, we're worried about our club player and which is our county player as well in this country, because he's been shafted.
Is club fixtures not the only thing? I mean, there's an awful lot of talk about training and burnout, etc. as well.
Club fixtures would eradicate a lot of problems. End of story. You can talk about science, you can talk about burnout, you can talk about everything. But club fixtures would, and your county calendar would eradicate a lot of problems.
What would your ideal kind of be in terms of the amount of games per year and the length of the season? What do you think? Like, would 20 games be fair or more? Should there be more?
There needs to be an off season completely. That people can let their hair down, number one. Number two, know where they're at, organise their holidays, organise their weddings. You know, at the minute there's people constantly during the months of August, September, October, they're saying to themselves, right, will this game be on, will it not be on? Will I book my holiday? Then the next thing, your county team's beaten in a final or in the semi-final. Then the game's brought forward. Then you have a situation, or you have arguments within a club, a man's a holiday booked, and and it just goes on and on and on. So ideal games, it's condensed in the calendar, trying to sort it out and moving it forward.
While no county has it right yet, obviously, certain counties have certain aspects right. I mean, we touched on holidays there. Some counties do have that week which they do manage to pencil in, but then unfortunately, if there's replays or different things like that, an odd game can end up being played in that period. But I suppose that's something you'd welcome, that if there was a 2-week break or a week of a break in the middle of the summer for holiday time, like that would be one thing that would kind of stabilise matters.
Yeah, but wouldn't hurlers rather be playing their hurling in hard ground? Reality.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You talk about holidays during the summer. If guys knew that stuff on, they wouldn't mind taking their holidays at different times. It's not about holidays. Guys just want to play, and I suppose the easiest way, the best way of putting it is that if you have ambitions of doing well for your club, you just want to know when you can play, when you can train. At the minute, the ratio of games to training and vice versa is outrageous.
Some examples from over the years that you can think of crazy situations. I suppose there was a situation recently in the Connacht's Intermediate Hurling Championship, just springs to my own mind, where the Roscommon final was played on the Saturday, the Mayo final was played on the Sunday, and then the bank holiday Monday, the two winners were due to face off, but unfortunately there was a death in the Roscommon Champions Club Or, and that game was then played on the Wednesday night. Then the Connacht final was played on the Saturday, or sorry, on the Sunday, and now that's gone to a replay and it's on this Saturday. And you know, there's a lot of squeezing going on. I mean, that's an intermediate level. It's in a so-called two hurling counties that are supposedly weaker, but it happens in other counties as well, where we've often seen county champions turn around less than 24 hours later and play their first round of a provincial club championship. There's too many examples of that, really, isn't there?
Listen, you could write a book on this alone. You know, and we can talk about it. There's an awful lot of hot air out there. You see provincial councils launching different strategic plans, and all you hear is the club, the club, the club. Every president that comes in, the club, the club, the club. But when they get into the system, they're swallowed up and nothing happens. So what we're trying to do is don't poke the bear if you can't feed it. In other words, don't be throwing stone at it. We're trying to sort this out, rather than throwing, oh, this is wrong, that's wrong. Try and help us to sort the problem, rather than complain that we mightn't be perfect, we mightn't do everything right, but we would like to see going forward that there will be changes.
I'm sure there's some real horror stories you've been hearing over the last couple of weeks. I mean, we're talking about, an example there of teams playing twice in the space of 24 hours, and I know we could go back to the Sigerson and DCU, and obviously it happens every year. Semi-finals are one day, the finals the next day. It's two big games in 24 hours, but I think in that kind of a scenario you're more prepared for that. Usually in the case of a county championship, it's just rushed off, and then we need to get county champions for the provincial series, and that's a worse scenario, and people can get injuries and different things can happen because of that. It's not just a case of time issues, there's a lot more behind this as well.
There is, but you can't blame provincial councils, you can't blame county boards. Administrators are doing the best they can for what they have in front of them, but the plan's wrong, and that's reality. And then you have many self-interest involved. You have as you say, the TV rights. We can't have games because it doesn't suit the TV companies. You have too many people that have other agendas, whether it be political. You have a lot of people get involved in the GAA at the minute that are using it as a stepping stone for moving forward in the political war. Yes, it's good to use their attributes when they're out, but it shouldn't be there. It's wrong. I see it rampant all the time, and the core voice of the GAA person needs to get more up in them positions to do make a difference, and don't be shouting in from the outside. Try and do something about it. Go to your club meetings, talk to your club delegates. Club delegates to the county board need to be more au fait what's the opinion within their club. They need to just not put your hand up to everything that's been said. They need to canvass to see what's the right thing for your club. There's too much, here we go. The club person has a lot to blame as well, because they've let themselves be forgotten.
Is it a case that really here a root and branch review needs to take place, and that the fixture schedule across the board, be it club, county, colleges, whatever, it all needs to look at and try and work out a better system?
You've nailed it on the head, because that's exactly what we're doing at the minute. And we have Derek Kavanagh and Porrick Joyce heading up the football end of things, and we have Liam Griffin and Michael Dagnan doing the hurling. And they are going to come, they have about 8 people involved with them underneath them, and then on each group. And then what we're doing is we're involving all the contributions from club members, from club players throughout the country, asking opinions, getting their opinions, and bringing it all together. We are looking at everything.
Looking forward to a busy schedule ahead, I suppose. It's something when you get into it. I mean, everyone kind of knows that there's a problem there, but have you realised that the problem is actually as massive as it actually is? Like, I mean, it is big, but I'm sure there's stories coming day in, day out. I'm sure the phone is happening, and I'm sure there's certain things that you're going, how in God's name was that allowed to happen?
Well, I have a day job, and I'm not going to let this consume me. I'm very passionate, and when I do take something on, I make it work. And thanks be to God, that has been to my benefit throughout my year in my sporting circles. So I am going to, with the help of the people that I have, put my energies into making this work, and I have no doubt that it will happen.
You're up here in Monaghan, obviously, Monaghan native as well, and we touched on hurling a little bit there too, I suppose. In this part of the world, Monaghan, Cavan, Leitrim, you can kind of go to the connected counties around here in hurling sense, and a lot of those guys are struggling to actually get fixtures as well. I'm sure those kind of feedback is kind of feeding into all this.
We're getting feedback from everybody, and people think that I'm completely football. I used to get a thrill out of, Clonturber had a very successful hurling team within our own club for years. I won a couple of championship medals. I wouldn't have been a great hurler compared to a footballer, but the reality is I have 2 championship medals and we enjoyed our hurling because we felt it as a release. That's exactly what it was. But at the minute there's no release.
Is that kind of one of the issues, I suppose, that's really strong, and that, you know, while club players in general feel disenfranchised, I suppose hurling people in so-called weaker counties feel disenfranchised as well. It's not just about, as you said, the football. It's also about the hurling as well. And it's about, I suppose, it's about making sure that every player, no matter where you are, has a fair number of games in a fair season in any given year.
You shouldn't be pulled back from whatever you're playing that you can't enjoy it. Yes, you're enjoying it if you're winning. Yes, by the time the club season it's going on, you're getting to a semi-final and a final and you're winning. It's unbelievable, and you forget about all the problems. But you know, at the minute there's a lot of people not forgetting the problems at the minute. I think it's a core issue that we have identified, and we're going to harness going forward.
The plan is to have a launch now in a few weeks' time as well. You know, that will really set the ball rolling, because I suppose there's been mentions here and there of the Club Players organisation in the last couple of weeks, but obviously that will be the big thing, and then, you know, it'll put you out on a platform there as well. Not you personally, but the organisation and the people behind it.
We're not looking to be on a platform. I think us just being here at the moment is causing everybody to think where we're at this moment in time. So from where we're at, if we had done nothing else at this moment in time, everybody's sitting up and saying, listen, yeah, these group of people are right, the club player. Everybody knows it, but just nobody was shouting loud enough. We're shouting it at the minute. In 3 weeks' time, we're not putting ourselves on a platform. It's a team of people that's there. There's going to be no titles, who's this, who's that. It's going to be a team of people that's trying to do their best and harness the goodwill of the club player and the county player together to try and make a difference. It's no platform. Will it be any different? The snowball is phenomenal at the minute, so I can't see it being any different in 3 weeks' time. Yes, it's about getting down and doing the work and getting the calendar right. There's no point in us blowing hot air what we're doing and registration and websites and etc. The reality is we have to bring something to the table that's going to work. If we don't, it's not going to be a success.
And I suppose maybe, I'm not sure, but I'm guessing one of your ideas might be to get something to a county congress and maybe brought forward that way by ordinary club members as well, as a blueprint going forward.
There's a blueprint there how to do things, and we're going to have to tap into that, and we're going to have to look at other avenues how we can do it as well. But the reality is it's about getting it over the line.
I'm looking forward to the challenge.
Or
if you call it a challenge.
I would call it like taking over a junior team and trying to win a senior championship. But can it be done? Yes, it will. Yes, it can, and it will be done.
And I suppose finally, if people, and obviously as I mentioned, you're getting an incredible amount of feedback already, but I'm sure there's loads more people out there who have their own stories. How can that be done?
Exactly the way we're doing it at the moment. We're harnessing it won't be ignored what's happening at the minute. And we're sitting here at the minute with people. It's just phenomenal the amount of people that's contacting through emails, etc., etc. Phenomenal the amount of people that's looking to get involved, and keep it coming, because we want everybody, and we're going to make this movement a very strong movement to make a difference and make a change. And I would like to think in 50 years' time we can look back and say, yes, we made a difference, and it was the making of, for the next 50 years, this is what happened with this group coming together of people throughout Ireland. Not the group that's the CPA, the group of people involved in the GAA association to make a difference.
Well, there's 1 million plus GAA club members right around the country and the world, and everyone has been affected in some way, so you know they'll all be behind you regardless. And as we said, it's not you personally, it is a group. It's about that 1 million people as well.
It's not about me, and you'll see over the next 3 or 4 weeks we'll be rolling out other people to speak, etc., because this is not about any one individual or no titles. It's about getting the job done.
All the best, Will.
Thank you.